And name, image, and likeness, I keep saying this about recruiting, and I just researched this. Of the 11 guys we have in placing that came early, one guy has an NIL deal.
Really?
Yes.
Just one?
Just one. So all these stories you're hearing are complete lies.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. That was Jimbo Fisher. You probably know that by now, the coach of Texas A&M. He was on KSAT-12 being interviewed. That's what he said, complete lies. And I'll admit it, I'm addicted to listening to Jimbo Fisher talk. He's, I don't know, it's just serious stuff. Some of it's serious. The other side, I hear him talk, I start putting a little twang in my own voice. Start talking like Jimbo Fisher. It's fun. Start talking like Jimbo. Complete lies. Welcome in. Hope everybody is having themselves a great Tuesday, the 24th. At this point, we're ready to talk a little football. We're here every day. MBNR's Michigan Football and Basketball Live. We are here weekdays at 1 o'clock talking about the latest in Michigan sports. And today, I ask you, what kind of chance you give Michigan at beating the Ohio State Buckeyes back-to-back? Michigan, by now, Michigan won this past year. It's been a while since they have just had one in a row, but two in a row. How about two in a row? Yeah, does that sound a little greedy? Two in a row for the Wolverines. We'll discuss their chances as I sit here today, looking into the camera and talking with you, wherever you're watching, listening to this show. We're glad that you're here. You can participate in real time if you leave your feedback anywhere. I read it on the air, and you can get involved that way. You can also call via the Clubhouse app. That's relatively new for us, and we're glad that we're in there because it's just another option, to get in there and hear from the people, which is always good. I started thinking about, Michigan's chances of beating Ohio State again. People are posting a lot of pictures and videos of Michigan this past year. Why wouldn't they? Big Ten champs. And yesterday it was the Eric All 47-yard touchdown that after Michigan had 5 runs, they were down after 5 runs to Hassan Haskins. Cade McNamara found Eric All, what do they call that, a short cross, shallow cross, right at the line of scrimmage or right below the line of scrimmage, right there. Caught it and then just took off. Had a lot of daylight, and just at 6'4", 245 plus pounds, rambled down the sideline, and the last 10 yards, man, he's just pounding it in and gets up and gets into the end zone. It was a real bolt of lightning, put Michigan up in the game with 24-17, I'm going to say 21-17 at that point. And then Penn State got the ball back, and there was a 4-and-out. Michigan's defense had to hold. They did, and the Wolverines won that game in Happy Valley. But the conversation about Eric All, the Wolverine Den, part of Maize Blue Review, we're just discussing Eric All, but you start talking about Eric All, and you say, well, the tight end position looked pretty good for Michigan. Luke Schoonmaker came on; he looked pretty good. Yesterday we were talking about the wide receivers. Michigan's got 2 quarterbacks to choose from. You might not like that. You might the controversy there. You have 2, you don't have 1. Whatever, however you look at it. Offensive line looks pretty. The offense looks really good. If the defense can Michigan's offense is just looking good. I think Michigan has a national championship type offense on paper as I sit in late May here. I definitely think, now you say, oh, you're crazy. I definitely think Michigan has a Big Ten championship offense. And I think that they've got enough offense to win 2 more games if they made it to the college football championship. Now, the defensive side, is that a national championship defense? I'm not sure about that. Do they have? They had a national championship type. Well, I was going to say schedule. They got a Big Ten championship type schedule, but you get in. There's only 4 teams. You're going to win 2 games, and they win 2 games in there. Maybe that would be something for a couple days, but winning the Big Ten, it goes through Columbus, a place that Michigan hasn't won in a long time. Can they do that? Let's talk about that here on Maize and Blue Review. And we also, coming up, we talk Michigan 98% of the time, 1% of the time I might, hit on the NBA playoffs. The other 1% of the time I might talk about something that's even non-sports. Like I've got a top 10 TV series rankings going. That's coming up in about 15 minutes. And how Harbaugh and the Wolverines will beat the Buckeyes in back-to-back seasons. We'll lead off with that. Also coming up here, the S&P Plus projection. That is a handy tool, a handy metric that a lot of college football fans, I don't know if they rely on it. They like it. I like it myself. It's got a few different things. Put recruiting in there. You put returning starters. You're looking at the depth chart. You're looking at recent seasons. You put it all together. You put tempo. You put a couple of other things. Efficiency of your opponent. You put it into a blender. And you see what it spits out. We'll tell you what it's spat out. I don't know. I'll tell you what was spit out of the S&P projection over the last 24 hours coming up. But first, we will talk a little bit about the Buckeyes. And a reminder that we can take your calls if you are listening to this on Clubhouse. If you're listening to it anywhere, you can go to the app Clubhouse. It takes like 30 seconds to register. We're there, and we have that available for you. Okay, Michigan. So does it sound crazy to you to consider Michigan going 11-0, going into Ohio State down there on November the 25th? It doesn't sound crazy to me. It sounds like it's really hard to go undefeated in college football if you just look at Michigan and how many times that that they have done it. So talking about going undefeated is something like how many times Michigan's done it? What, once? And is it well? So they did it in '97, and before that was it 50 or 49? So once in over 70 years. So talking about doing it again, they did not do it last year, although they won the Big Ten. But going undefeated, going into Ohio State, the chances of that, just based on past seasons, you'd say is very small. And yet the schedule is the non-conference schedule is a layup, and you could go out there and say, can you just set the schedule up perfectly for Michigan? Okay, let's set it up perfect. Let's start them out at home with a very manageable game against Maryland. Then let's get them go to Iowa. That's the game. Yes, sir. Sure. If you want to say Michigan's going to drop that game at Iowa, I think a lot of people, when we have to put it in stone, and you can put it in stone here in May. Yeah, they're going to do it. You're going to beat Iowa. I tend to think today, if I had to put it in stone, that it looks like it is. Not because it looks like it is the most difficult game Michigan is going to face before they go down to Ohio State on the 25th of November is October the 1st at Iowa. That's it. So if we're ranking the toughest opponents for Michigan, number 1, Ohio State, number 2, Iowa. Today, I think that they can go to Iowa and win that game. Why? Well, I watched Michigan beat Iowa on a neutral field last year. I saw it's a very pedestrian offense. There's not a lot of game breakers, playmakers, especially at quarterback. And I already talked about, I think Michigan's getting, and I know it could be night, that game. If I had to put my money on whether it would be a day and night game, in Iowa, Michigan has not had great success. They're right on top of you. All of that kind of stuff is true. But I think that Michigan can go to Iowa and win that game. And if they do that, yeah, they get some other landmines in there, but it sets up really nice for U of M. So going into 11-0, likely, probable, but a chance. Does Michigan have the team then to beat Ohio State? Ohio State going to be fired up. We know that because of last year. They're not used to losing to Michigan. If they would somehow lose 2 in a row, then like Michigan has their attention. Michigan always has Ohio State's attention, but now they really have the attention. The Philistines, their fans, they're all going nuts. They can't handle a loss to Michigan. So, but serving them up a second loss would really would be something. Serve notice. It's fun to talk about. Beating Ohio State. Now, it hasn't happened very often in recent history. In fact, you have to go back to the last time Michigan won on the road at the Horseshoe. I was there. Drew Henson ran the ball in there late. Remember a little bootleg? He ran it in, sealed things. Michigan won the game 38-26. Prior to that, I can recall sitting in the press box down there at Ohio State, and the PA announcer for the press box, you're not supposed to be cheering in the press box or anything, but it happens. This just in, it does happen. But he had left his the button on in the PA booth, and I don't remember what the play was, but he said, "This one is slipping away." Like he saw, and everybody laughed, like, "Oop!" And he had his little mess up back there on November the 19th, 22 years ago now. Wow. 22 years November. So 21 and a half years ago. It's funny the things that you can recall. But the last time Michigan did win down at Ohio State, the previous year, they had won as well. So they did go back to back. So yeah, it's been 21 years. But it's been 21 years since they've went back to back too. It's still over 2 decades, a long time. Talked about it the last 2 weeks a lot about the loss of both coordinators from Michigan and replacing those. That's not something that's super easy to do. You look at it though, can Michigan do it? Did I like Josh Gaddis? Josh Gaddis called a masterpiece against Ohio State, one of the greatest play calling games ever. The maestro, sitting over there, dialing up this play, running this play. Let's throw the ball down here. It was just a thing of beauty. So you don't take that lightly with Matt Weiss, who was there, who has now, his hands on the controls along with Sharon Moore. It's not, just automatically say, it's going to be easy, to replace Josh Gaddis. Although I think, people, the feeling is I try not to just go with, well, it's come on, Josh Gaddis. He might have been no big loss. When you call one of the greatest games ever, from a play calling standpoint, he called a great game. So he had it going. So there could be something we haven't seen. Matt Weiss, he's never called a play till he's down there with that sheet, looking it up, calling the plays. It's easy to call the plays from the press box or from the stands in the living room. I call them myself. Throw the ball. A little bit different when you're down there and you have to make the call. So we don't know about Matt Weiss until he's going to be in there. But I get back to the schedule where, Weiss, he's got a few games here. If he calls a bad game, I don't know, can he even call a bad game against Colorado State or Hawaii or UConn or Maryland? He's got a lot of games to get some experience under his belt. And then McDonald had never called a game last year. Remember, McDonald tripped up. McDonald did not have a good game as a defensive coordinator at Michigan State. He got caught with his pants down. Michigan State had scouted Michigan, and they were sitting on a scramble of how Michigan was replacing their players, how they were rotating their guys in, and Michigan State was sitting on that, and they didn't do it just once, twice. I mean, it was the theme of the game. What are the big reasons? Kenneth Walker. It's the Kenneth Walker game. K9 scored 5 touchdowns. Michigan fans remember it for the strip, sack, fumble, touchdown that was taken off the board. I mean, that was a huge play, no doubt. I remember that part as well. That's into the conversation. But K9 going for 5 touchdowns with big. But McDonald getting, spanked and getting outmaneuvered by the Michigan State coaching staff with huge. So that was just his first time. You can't afford it as much on defense. Offense, you trip up, maybe you're not going to put something where you think maybe, I guess it could be a trick play or something. But defense, man, you end up getting outmaneuvered like that. It can cost you a season. It didn't for Michigan. It did cost them the Michigan State game. Not putting it all on Mike McDonald, but, he's in the conversation of why Michigan ended up losing that game. Couldn't stop the run, outmaneuvered, all of that. And so now the defensive coordinator is Jesse Minter, who's got a lot of experience. He has been a defensive coordinator. He's a defensive coordinator, and he's got some pro experience as well. At 39 years old, he's got a hell of a lot of experience, coordinating a defense. And now I think talent-wise, he's going to, have his best personnel. So it can be done. We're going to have to see, what Minter's all about. He's cut from the same cloth. He comes from the same organization. I can see it happening. Weiss, maybe a little bit as a quarterback coach, maybe he's going to want to throw the ball more, considering the pass catchers Michigan has and the quarterback. Although, Harbaugh might be over there saying, no. I don't care if you've got all that talent. We're running the ball. We're running it. We're going to keep running it. If it works, we'll see. Those are the things that we'll be talking about once the season starts. Like I say, the feedback open for you. Jason is saying good afternoon and hoping all is well. Yeah, well, we're bringing our cat back who had to go into some emergency surgery to the vet. So we'll see. We're hoping that all is well there. Venice throwing out a go blue. And here is K2. We need to figure out a way to get Edwards to rock this year as much as possible. I think you're going to see a lot of Donovan Edwards. I think you'll see a healthy amount of Blake Corum, and then you'll get a big dose of Donovan Edwards, a real 1-2 punch in the backfield. Both of those guys can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. Obviously, you want to get the ball to Donovan Edwards as much as you can. Hell, you want to let him throw it once in a while, too, after what we saw in the Big Ten championship game. Yeah, there's another thing about being Matt Weiss. Matt Weiss is walking in. No, Harbaugh said Day was waking up on third base. Matt Weiss is waking up a foot from home. He just has to go like this and touch home plate. He's got a lot of personnel to work with. Every first-time offensive coordinator would love to be sitting in Matt Weiss's shoes going in there. Oh, what? You got you got two quarterbacks. You got 2-3 tight ends. You got 4 or 5 wide receivers. You got 2 game breakers at running back. The offensive line could be better than last year. I mean, Olalatimi, he should be an upgrade. We're going to be honest. Out at right tackle for U of M, Trente Jones, can he do the job that Andrew Stuber did? Trente Jones was coming in, if you remember last year, he didn't have his name plate on his back. They switched him over to 80 and put him in some those short yardage situations, the Buffalo looks that Michigan was calling it. And then out of spring, Harbaugh mentioned that Jones, I'm going to paraphrase, but he said he was great. He had a really good spring. All of those things. I don't have those quotes right in front of me, but it was really good news. The offensive line, I expect the offensive line to be as good. It was really good last year or better than it was. So I don't know, did we leave anybody out there? That's a stacked offense. The biggest deal with the offense is how much are they going to throw? How much are they going to run? How are they going to get the ball to Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards? How are they going to get Ronnie Bell, Cornelius Johnson, Andrell Anthony, Roman Wilson, and A.J. Henning? How are they going to serve those guys up enough touches? Well, it's a great problem to have. But you got some tight ends that might be pushing Schoonmaker and all. Okay. Yeah. I get that. When your toughest job is trying to figure out how to divvy the snaps up. And you're going to have to figure out how to work the quarterback room as well. That's his biggest challenge. But he'll have some help in trying to figure that out. Will it just sort itself out? Yeah, it will. But if you get it wrong, the season, all of this can go south pretty quick. Okay, before we go any further, let me tell you about our new sponsor. And there's the chime for it. Hey, folks, Dennis Fithian and Maize and Blue Review support is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men hygiene bundle. Join me and over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TMBR at manscaped.com. And congratulations goes out there to all the seniors, high school, college. When you're thinking about giving a gift to the graduating seniors, yeah, they like cash. How about sliding in the Performance Package, the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle for your grad? Little cash, the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle. You will be remembered, and they will love you for it. So get 20% off with free shipping with the code TMBR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code TMBR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tool for the job at manscaped.com. All right, you got the S&P projections. I just flash it up on the screen. But before let me flash those S&P projections. I put up on Twitter, it wasn't a poll, I put a question about beating Ohio State, and I just want to see what kind of feedback. I answered one of the questions, so I know that at least one person or two did answer the question. We'll share the screen with you, and we'll walk through the feedback, and we'll also get to the feedback that's coming up on the screen right now about beating Ohio State. As I look up, I see that there are people that are responding, so we can get to all of this. Let's see if I can get, there's my Twitter feed, and we'll get to that in just 1 second. And let's see, we've got feedback here first. KP, figure of the ball. D says we need to get JJ behind center. We've talked about that. You might see JJ. You're going to see JJ behind center. How much? We know soon. First game, he's going to play a lot. He's going to play all non-conference. I think I would rather have Michigan playing a really great non-conference schedule. Like Ohio State's playing Notre Dame. I liked when Michigan played Notre Dame. I like scary non-conference games. I like great non-conference games, but most teams dodge them and set up cupcakes. And so we can go down that road. But Michigan's got a super easy schedule. When you have a super easy schedule, it really doesn't. And it's great to have insiders like we do. Like Josh Henschke will be, tapping his sources during fall ball and how the guys look and everything. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter. But what really matters is when we see Michigan going over pretty much walkthroughs and practices, but they are games. But they'll be double-digit favorites against Colorado State, double-digit favorite against Hawaii. They should beat UConn by 50. Both quarterbacks can play, and put them under the scrutiny of 111,000 and the TV cameras. And it's a little bit different than being over there, at Glick Fieldhouse, watching these guys throw, with just the coaches and a couple cameras, sitting up in the corner or sitting up, in the skybox or whatever else. Plenty of opportunity to get a JJ for him to play and certainly win the job if that's what you want. And a lot of people do want that. I understand that. K2 saying, reading the NFL scouts comparing him to Kamara. That's talking about Donovan Edwards. I can see that. Alvin Kamara catches the ball a lot out of the backfield. He caught it even more when Drew Brees was his quarterback than he did when Jameis Winston was there, or if it's Taysom Hill. And Winston, I think, is the quarterback this year, right? But that's talking about Kamara. Donovan Edwards set a Michigan record with 10 catches and 170 yards against Maryland. Throw him the ball. Yeah. I can sit around. The sky is the limit for Donovan Edwards. I can sit around talking about him all day long. D's, JJ to Edwards, either lined up behind quarterback or in the slot all day long. So many playmakers need a quarterback that can get him the ball. Yeah, Cade could get him the ball too. I'm not. I'm high on both right now. I like the situation. Do I have to pick one today? If I'm picking one today, I know that Cade McNamara is going to start against Colorado State. You know that as well. But we can also easily come up with situations and scenarios where he outplays and overtakes McNamara by certainly October the 1st, where they've got 4 games, including a Big Ten opener, to compete. I live in Indiana and love the almost yearly Notre Dame game. Still pisses me off we don't play them anymore. Yeah, I hear you, Deez. What is we got? 10 more years? 2033, even more than that, until they get back and they play again. Yeah, I was getting a little bit tired of it because you would think like, there's the thing like Michigan would beat Notre Dame and then to be like, no, Notre Dame sucks. If you don't know anything about Notre Dame. And so I like the idea of rotating Notre Dame off, even for 2-3 years, but then bringing in, like Michigan's got, and those games will likely get scrubbed. I think they already have been against Texas and Oklahoma down the line. But what you feared is, so you don't get Notre Dame, so you get UConn and Hawaii and Colorado State and, next year, whatever they are, Huckabuck State and, nobody wants to see those games. We take it and we give them the money. It's like almost like a tax. It's, I'll cry about it all the time. I do. Okay, let's see here. Here's the question that I put out on Twitter. We did get some response. What kind of shot do you give Michigan football at winning down in Columbus this year? I think 35 to 40% chance. Now you could say that. Why so high or why so low? I mean, when you see that is, and I gave myself a little bit of a wiggle room. I think 35%, but then I said, it could be 40%. So I was going to say 37.5% because that's but that sounds a little bit random. But that's how I would have arrived at if you just wanted one number. I would say 37.5 because I believe it is between 35 and 40%. Here is the feedback that I got. Let's see, we got a few that responded to the question on Twitter. And here it is. T. Allen, definitely less than 50. 50 depends on how the year goes. 35 sounds right. So he likes my 35. Yeah, sure. Like we're in May. It's way too early. You get into September, it's going to be way too early. I mean, the game against Ohio State is at the end of the year. It will be too early to talk about definitely in September. Is it going to be too early to talk about in October? If Michigan beats Iowa, I think that's when it officially is really fair to talk about it. But come on, let's just say let's wait till what happens. Let's wait till October the 2nd before we start talking about it. It is early though, to T. Allen's point. Jonathan J. Sermo, 20-ish%. Ooh, that's a very low number, but a 1 in 5 chance. So you are saying there is a chance though. The chef is saying always 50-50, the law of averages, but I think Michigan can certainly win again. Better offense, comparable defense. Columbus this year, absolutely a toss-up. Well, there's some things in there that I agree with, and there's a lot that I don't. It's not always 50-50. And if you're just saying the Michigan-Ohio State game is always 50-50, then what has happened here in the 21st century where Michigan's only won 2 or 3 games? Oh, you flip a coin, you're not flipping it 17 times out of 21. It's not coming up heads. I'll bet against that. So it's not 50-50. The law of it, it's 50-50 if you're flipping a coin, Chef, but it's not 50-50 with Michigan, Ohio State. He says Michigan has the better offense. As much as I will sit here and tell you that Michigan has a Big Ten championship offense, Ohio State had the number one offense in the country last year. In the country. Their quarterback threw, the quarterback threw 40 some odd touchdowns. Stroud. His completion percentage was 70%. Ohio State has got a great offense. They've got when you think about Smith and Jigba and everything that they have, they've got tons of wideouts. Their offense is one of the, on paper, as I'm sure if they're sitting down there in Columbus, they're talking about, is this a generational offense? And it might be. But Ohio State's defense was terrible last year. They had a great offense, but a terrible defense. And I think that Michigan can compete offensively with them. And I think that they could have a better defense, even though Michigan's lost a lot of their playmakers. That's the part where, we don't know. So it's absolutely not a toss-up. Sean, it's too early. A lot of things can happen between now and November. It is early. 30% sounds legit. OSU played an uninspired and mistake-filled game. They won't do it again. Now, they'll be inspired. I think it's a good point by Dadlock. Michael Spath. Enough of the leadership is back, but until they actually win in the shoe, I won't believe it. I said I'm still having a hard time believing what they did this past year. At Xman86, he gives Michigan a 60% if JJ starts the Ohio State game. He gives Michigan a 30% chance if Cade starts. Ooh. Yeah. Brandon at BLEF4, 100%. I gave him a heart, a like. Brandon said 100. The tugboat said 0. He got 2 hearts. At Maisie Blue, 100%. Nice name. Good looking gal. Pre-Brant, it's always 50-50. Here's another one. Either they win or they don't. Real talk. I give it a 25% chance at best, going to be a lot to replace in Ann Arbor, and the Bucs are going to be out for blood with a very strong team. Now, Michigan's got a lot to replace on defense. I agree. The Bucs are going to be out for blood. That's true. And the chef likes the response, saying that he is with that. Okay. We're going to read some of the feedback that we have coming in via, let's see here. We have some, I can't put this up on the screen, but Paul is on Clubhouse. He's just throwing out a go blue. There's nothing wrong with those. Here's D's. We had him talking about him living in Notre Dame. Cade underthrows on his deep passes 75% of the time. JJ never underthrows. Now, if you would have told me that you felt like, JJ has the stronger arm, I think that is obvious. They do have numbers to, the advanced numbers and Pro Football Focus. They talk about, percentage of deep throws and things like that. And so maybe you're getting it there from that, D's, but I don't agree that Cade underthrows 75% of his deep balls. I don't agree with that. I think about, Western when he threw a touchdown to Ronnie Bell. I think about the Northern Illinois game where he had Cornelius Johnson for a long touchdown. He hit him in stride. The Rutgers game, the flea flicker, that was a bomb. He dropped it right in the bucket there. Where are the underthrows that we're talking about? I mean, there have been some. And no, he doesn't have the rocket arm to push the ball down the field. JJ does have a rocket, and he does have a strong arm. We get that. But if JJ does lack At times, what we have seen from J.J. McCarthy when he played last year, he lacks accuracy and touch. So you can throw the ball. Well, I watched the PGA this past week. You can drive the ball 425 yards down the fairway. But if you hit it 425 yards and it ends up in a creek like Mito Pereira, that's not any good. And I'm not saying JJ is Pereira. What I'm saying is I don't agree with the 75% of, and JJ never underthrows the ball. I mean, like, what are we talking about here? I would say, does anybody else agree with him? But I know that there are probably a lot of people that do agree with him. How did that screen get up there? Okay, more feedback. Let's go to it. Fans are delusional sometimes. That's from Venice, for sure. D's is agreeing with somebody. 49% chance we win at Ohio State. I'll take 49% right now. Let's do it. I'll take 49%. That was not the screen I wanted either. This one. Shall not be infringed. Smash the like button. Thanks for hitting the like button. We like the like button. We like reviews. We like ratings, and we like feedback on wherever you're at. Podcast, any of those things. They help. They help push our show. They help when we go out to our advertisers, all of that stuff. So any of those things that you can do, they are appreciated. So thanks very much, SNBI, for that. Now, the S&P projections are out. These are from ESPN. A lot of people like the S&P projections. I do myself. Another way to look at college football. Another way to talk about college football with a way to look at analytics. And the formula, I don't think this is the entire formula, and I don't have the actual formula written out, but the guy that does this, and he's been doing it for years now, he looks at the returning starters that a team has coming back. That's smart. How the recruiting has looked over the last few years. That seems like a smart move too. A recent success that a team has had. Part tempo and opponent efficiency, which is also something, so you put it all together and you see what comes out. And what came out is the number one team in the country heading into this year, according to ESPN's S&P Plus projection, is Ohio State. Ohio State number one. They say, oh no. There's good and bad news if you're listening. Ohio State is number one. That's the bad news. The good news is that the second team in the S&P Plus projections in the country, I don't have it in front of me. The third team, the S&P Plus projection in the country, I don't have it in front of me. My guess is that it's Alabama and Georgia, would be my guess. That would be 2 and 3. Number 4 on the SP Plus projection, Michigan. So Michigan with a top 4 now, SP Plus projection. I like it. Other teams in the Big Ten, Whiskey got a top 10, Penn State number 13, and MSU at 16. But a way to look at it and the formula, and the other part, and you talk about it every time you talk about Michigan football this year, ease of schedule. If it matters to you, it matters to me. So returning starters, good, recruiting, all that, recent success, tempo, opponent efficiency, maybe that works into the schedule part. But also just how the schedule sets up. Michigan is going 4-0. They're definitely going 3-0. Could they lose to Maryland at home? All right. I don't think so. They're going 4-0. Their season doesn't start until October the 1st. And yeah, going to Iowa is tough. They lost at Indiana 2 years ago. But then Penn State and Michigan State and Nebraska and Illinois at home. And then the last one that we have been talking about, Ohio State and if Michigan can beat them or not. Okay, before I give you the top 10 TV series of all time, Eastern Michigan. I like to keep an eye out on the Eagles, how they looked in the S&P, not very good. The Eagles ranked 111 out of 131 teams in Conley's updated SP Plus rankings. So you look at the rest of the MAC. Eastern is in front of Ball State and Akron in the MAC. So they get some bottom feeders there. Toledo, the highest MAC school at 60. Just some things to think about. You say, well, who's going to be good in the MAC this year? Toledo. That's what I take out of that. Is Eastern going to be any good? 111 out of 131 in an SP Plus ranking doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound very good at all for Eastern. Good luck to the Eagles. Okay, 1% of the time I give you some non-sports, and I put together a list of my top 10 TV series of all time. Yesterday, at number 10, Sons of Anarchy came in at number 10. I ranked them ahead of Ozark, and Orange is the New Black, both fine series, but in the end, I had to get Sons of Anarchy in my top 10. Number 9 on the top 10 TV series of all time, I picked Dexter. Dexter's a little bit of a horror, psychological horror, gore. And I picked Dexter over The Walking Dead and Stranger Things. Stranger Things has got a half new season coming out, I believe, Friday. I like the 80s genre, but I didn't watch the second season, even though I've thought the first season was, okay. I didn't think it was better than Walking Dead. And I take Dexter over Walking Dead and Stranger Things. You're looking for something to watch? How about 8 seasons and 96 episodes of Dexter? Truth be told, I watched the first 4 seasons and then I stopped for over a year and a half. It's just got to be like the same thing over and over and over and over again. And then I took a year and a half and went back and I was like, oh, hey, Dexter, kind of the same thing over and over and over again. But so, you're watching 96 hours. You get close to like the 50 hour mark and you're like, this is kind of the same thing over and over. And the first 4 seasons are fabulous. They really are. Hall of Fame seasons. And, season 7, something happens there where I think it jumps the shark where it could be a lot higher on this list. A lot of people had a hard time with the season finale. I did not, because I always thought, you're leaving yourself a little bit of an opening for a reboot. And you know what they did? They rebooted it just this past year after taking, I don't know, was it 4 or 5 years off? Dexter New Blood. I've watched it. It's on Showtime. If you liked Dexter at all, the original series, you'll love Dexter New Blood. Dexter New Blood is just like all the other years. And I will say nothing more about it. Try not to spoil anything, but there you go. The New Blood ends up at number 9 on the list. Don't forget to join the Maize and Blue review today at michigan.rivals.com. Great Father's Day gift. Great birthday present. Say this, in June, I look down, my birthday's in June, Father's Day. For the Michigan fan in your life, you slide a subscription to Maize and Blue review. You're the Michigan fan in your life will love you. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, IG, and TikTok. I run the TikTok. So I just put a video up. I was in Ann Arbor yesterday, and I was at a stoplight, and I told my wife, hey, I've got to get a video for TikTok. And so I took one, and it's up there right now. So you go to TikTok, Maize and Blue review, and you can watch, some of those videos that I put up. I've been watching, the NBA. When I see things that are Michigan related, I put it up there. So check out, and we are taking your calls on Clubhouse, and we are live there right now. Coming up tomorrow here on Michigan Football Live and Basketball Live, we will look at the future of the college football schedules and the expanded playoffs. Until then, thanks for watching, and everybody have themselves a fabulous day. I'll continue. I'll give you the after party is going on at Clubhouse right now. So the after party continues now. Everybody else have a great day. See you.